So, highly contested between the ruling Zanu PF and the newly launched Citizen Coalition for Change parties. The by-elections held on Saturday, the 26th of March, are considered to be the precursor to the upcoming general elections in early 2023. They will exemplify the capacity also of the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission to conduct elections that are credible, constitutional, transparent, and accountable. Well, I'm Chris Maroleng, Executive Director of Good Governance Africa, and here to discuss the issues that I raised earlier on are Sku Mashingaidze, who is a senior researcher, and Stephen Buchanan-Clark, head of the Human Security and Climate Change Program. Of the 19 seats that the CCC got, of the 28 parliamentary seats that were on the offing here, this is quite a good turnout for this newly formed party, less than 2 months old.
Yes, it's a new party, but it's a party that is building on an already pre-existent electoral base that CCC had in 2018 under the MDC Alliance. The at least 2 million voters that we talk of in 2018, right? And for whom this by-election has served to strengthen their resolve to retain. It's been more of a by-election to say we are reclaiming our constituencies, we're reclaiming our wards.
The huge turnout that we saw at these rallies, you know, so much hype before the elections, and then what appears to be somewhat of a low voter turnout, rural and urban areas. Was this a surprise for you?
It is only areas or constituencies and wards that had their members of parliament and councillors recalled that were voting. So there's a significant youth population as well that could not participate. 2
of the seats that the opposition lost to Zanu PF, that went to Zanu PF, were previously in opposition hands. That must say something also to the strength of Zanu PF. We can't really write them out completely at this stage, can we, Steve?
You know, particularly in the rural areas, Zanu PF still has a lot of popular support. We see a greater trend in the Southern African region of liberation parties fortifying their strength in the rural areas but losing their metros.
They say in politics a year is a very long time. What do you think the CCC and also Zanu PF should be doing to consolidate their positions? And more importantly, maybe improve their gains come elections in 2023?
The fact that we have a drought, and we've known that in Zimbabwe, food aid has always been highly politicized. So we have food insecurity in a majority of rural communities, rural areas. So that is going to work definitely to the advantage of whoever can make entry into those communities.
Rallies is not really a good indicator of electoral turnout. People go to rallies for sort of different social and material incentives. So we need to see CCC getting out grassroots registration, voter drives, particularly with the youth. That is really where all big election upsets are won.
This is the Good Governance Conversation, and I'm joined right now by Dr. Ross Harvey, who is our head of programs and research here at GGA. Dr. Harvey, we've just come out of these elections, by-elections in Zimbabwe. And as you know, elections in that country have been typically marred by controversy, allegations of vote rigging, and all sorts of shenanigans. Were you comfortable with the performance, especially of the ZEC, in these by-elections?
In any context where elections are typically rigged, those in the Electoral Commission that are not independent have an incentive to create an appearance of legitimacy. And in this particular instance, it would seem to me that the ruling party would allow for a certain outcome. I think what's extremely worrying is that the ZEC have not shown us anything empirical to suggest that we should believe them in the run-up to the very important 2023 elections. I think, however, the fact that the new CCC did win a majority of seats is an indication that change is happening.
What exactly do you think needs to be done to make the electoral environment in Zimbabwe more even?
You have to show that we have an entirely independent ZEC. In other words, it would be a good signal to the international marketplace of elections, if you like, that we have an independent set of commissioners, preferably somebody from outside Zimbabwe to chair that, who has previous experience in the region or on the continent, that can lead a team of independent commissioners. Now, those commissioners also need to be given entry to the country quite long in advance of elections to ensure not just that the voters' roll is not rigged, but also that intimidation and coercion, especially in rural areas, is actually not happening.
What we did witness in these by-elections was less political violence, less intimidation in the run-up, right? And that might indicate a propensity, as you suggest, of maybe Zanu PF and the ZEC to indicate to their critics that they are really doing their best to curb political violence. It could also show on the side of the opposition political party a semblance of maturity in that they have conducted themselves in a way that has not been too provocative to the governing party. What's your view to such optimistic sentiment?
There's a track record of 40 years in play, and unfortunately leopard doesn't change its spots easily, and even those who took over in the 2017 coup, Mnangagwa and Chiwenga in particular, have made extremely violent comments, if you like.
What were those, Dr. Harvey?
Unfortunately, General Chiwenga indicated that they would crush the opposition, crush the CCC like you crush lice on a stone. That kind of language is extremely inflammatory, if not actually genocidal.
Ross, I've often heard you say, having the benefit of working with you, that South Africa must begin to see the problems in Zimbabwe almost as a domestic issue, and very much the utterances of South Africa as almost the big regional hegemon mean a lot in such crucial elections, especially the ones that we're anticipating in 2023. What do you want South Africa, in particular its government, to do, and indeed civil society and other players here?
What I would really love to see from South Africa is to avoid making the Zimbabwe security and electoral crisis a political football for domestic point scoring that can sometimes entrench xenophobia or exacerbate it. That must be off the table. The South African government needs to exercise bold leadership in talking about the Zimbabwean crisis as a crisis of humanity. It's a humanitarian disaster in there. 90% unemployment. This has to be resolved. Of course, it creates security and governance concerns for South Africa because there's an influx of people seeking medical and educational help, for instance, that is often only available in parts of South Africa. That puts pressure on our resources, but that shouldn't be the primary driver of intervention or of comments in the direction of we need free and fair elections in the region because this is the right thing to do, this is what we believe in, and we will hold each other to account in that respect, and we won't be fearful of a response. Without fear or favor, we will emphatically desire free and fair elections in the region.
Brilliant, Dr. Harvey. We could go on and on about this, I know. However, if you want to find out more about the outcome of elections in Zimbabwe, we really urge you to check out our website and really engage with the content there so you can find out more. So please comment and leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Well, until next time, we look forward to you joining us on the Good Governance Conversation. Take care.